Okay, welcome back with more terms that have been flipped, faked, and fed to you with a side of manipulation. So if you've heard things like white privilege isn't real, or someone screaming misandry is dangerous when you disagree with them about patriarchal themes, let's talk about that. So first of all, let's start with white privilege. White privilege doesn't mean that your life has been easy and everything's been handed to you. It simply means that your skin color hasn't been one of the things making your life harder. It's the invisible head start that you didn't ask for, but still very much benefit from. And this term has been co-opted into some personal attack, probably because white people are used to being so centered. But anyway, some personal attack. People hear it and go, oh my God, are you calling me racist? I'm not racist. Or my life has been hard. Like, stop making excuses. You're just being a victim. This isn't about individual guilt. This is systemic. And the right and even some liberals have co-opted this term to paint any conversation about race as some divisive attack. And they've turned the word privilege into some dirty word when really it's just a tool and a concept used for understanding imbalance and working towards equity. Now let's talk about misandry. Misandry does mean hatred or prejudice against men. And yes, that can exist. And to act like it exists in a vacuum is weird. But anyways, what happens is people weaponize that term anytime a woman is talking about patriarchy, gender violence, or male privilege. And suddenly calling out systemic sexism becomes man-hating. And the hijacking of this term is used to silence feminist conversations and center male fragility because remember, the male ego is the glass ceiling on which women hit their head upon. But anyway, it's not misandry to say that women deserve safety, equal pay, or bodily autonomy. And it's not misandry to point out that some men are socialized into entitlement or control. We're literally seeing it now. But the word gets thrown around to paint women, especially outspoken ones, as dangerous or hysterical. It's not about imbalance. It's about shutting people up at that point, and it's about deflecting the conversation. Now, the term gaslighting. This is psychological abuse. It's intentionally manipulating someone to doubt their own reality. It's very serious, especially in relationships, politics, and media. And lately, the far right has started weaponizing the word every time they feel challenged. You will, or they'll just do it to make fun of you. Anyway, so you'll hear things like, stop gaslighting me when someone brings up climate change or when someone's fact-checking a lie. And meanwhile, they literally gaslight the public daily, saying that the election was stolen when every court said it wasn't, saying that Trump didn't incite violence when we all watched it happen. Screaming gaslighting to deflect while actively engaging in it is crazy. That's not misuse, it's full-on projection. All right, reverse racism. First of all, this isn't a real thing. Racism requires power and prejudice. And in the US, that systemic power has always tilted white. Point blank, period. And when BIPOC folks talk about harm or advocate for equity, a lot of people like to twist this into anti-white discrimination, which is a very, very false equivalency. Like saying things like Black Lives Matter isn't anti-white, it's anti-brutality. And highlighting racism isn't racism. Yet this term gets thrown around as a silencing tactic to derail conversations and center white feelings over real harm. Next, cancel culture. Cancel culture started as a way to hold people accountable, especially powerful people who harmed others and faced no consequences because power dynamics really matter in all of these, okay? But now it's being twisted into a right-wing rallying cry. And suddenly a brand being boycotted or a celebrity facing backlash becomes cancel culture gone mad. And what they really mean is, I miss the days when we could be openly bigoted and no one called us out. And there was never any consequences and I couldn't lose my job or whatever. Ironically, the same people who complain about cancel culture are often the first to try banning books and firing teachers and manipulating education and censoring art that they disagree with. Like, let's be real, this isn't about free speech. It's literally about who gets to speak without consequences and whose thoughts matter the most. So let's also talk about American values. This phrase sounds nice, right? Values. But what values are we talking about? Equality, freedom, or dominance and control and unchecked capitalism? American values have been co-opted by politicians who use it to justify xenophobia, misogyny, and violence. And they'll say things like protect American values while stripping away healthcare and cutting school funding and banning books and shipping people to El Salvador. It's less about shared principles and more about maintaining a narrow, outdated vision of who gets to belong, whose opinion matters most. And finally, The American dream. The idea that if you work hard enough, you can succeed. And here's the truth. The American dream was never equally accessible. It was built on land theft, slavery, and exclusion. And today, success still depends on zip code, race, class, gender, and more. And instead of acknowledging that, this term is used to blame the poor and glorify the ultra wealthy. So if someone's struggling, they're told they're just not trying hard enough. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's been twisted into a tool for shame rather than a goal for justice. And the people who scream the loudest about the dream are often the ones hoarding the resources and have had the most help. And they make it impossible for others to reach the dream because they refuse to admit the ways they've been privileged. And here's the real kicker. These terms get twisted so easily because so many people were never taught to sit with their discomfort. Schools don't teach emotional processing, and we definitely don't learn it as adults. Critical thinking is treated like rebellion, so folks end up parroting whatever aligns with their worldview without ever pausing to feel, question, or learn. Manipulation thrives when people are emotionally disconnected from their humanity and from their empathy. And politicians and media know this, which is why they throw out these emotional buzzwords. That's their favorite weapon, right? Language isn't just communication, it's control. And when they twist the words, they twist the truth. So don't let them. And if you would like to match, you can get it down below.